Hello guys, welcome to the second session on statistics for class 10th, brought to you by onlinepsa.in. So in the last session we discussed the introduction of statistics that we studied in class 9th, and also we understood how we can find out the mean of grouped data. In that section we understood how we can do groupings, how we can do various groupings and find out the frequency of each group, and then used different methods to find out the mean of the given data. The first method that we studied was the direct method, which is given by x bar equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi. And the second method that we discussed was the assumed mean method, which is nothing but an extension of the direct method itself, and we got assumed mean method to simplify the calculations that we were trying to do in the direct method. So whether we use this first method or the second one, the answer is going to be one and the same. The only difference will be the method in which we try to do all the calculations. In the assumed mean method, we assume a mean as A, okay, from one of the given class marks. We assume the mean there, and from there we find out the deviations of the assumed mean from all the observations, right? We find out what are the deviations from the assumed mean from all the given class marks, and then we apply this rule, right? Let's go to the same question and understand the third method to find out the mean. Okay, so here is the question which we had taken up last time. Okay, the values of di are given, right? So we had assumed 55 as the assumed mean, and then we calculated all the deviations of the assumed mean from the given class mark. So 45 minus 55 will give you minus 10, 35 minus 55 will give you minus 20. Now when we have got all these values, we can see a pattern that the di are all multiples of 10. Okay, they are all multiples of 10. You see 40, 30, 20, 10 and so on, right? So what you can take is a number 10, and you understand this in terms of a variable h. Okay, and what do you do with this h? You divide all these numbers by this h, okay, and find out a term called ui, just like how you found di from xi by minusing out one of the assumed mean. You find out ui by dividing all the di's with a common factor. H is the common factor. Now let us calculate the ui. Ui here will be minus 40 upon h. H you have assumed it to be 10 because 10 seems to be the common factor here. So you will get the value as minus 4. Similarly, you will get minus 30 by 10. This will be minus 3. Minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you divide it by 10. Now you see the numbers have become even more simpler, right? Minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1. These have become simpler than minus 40, minus 30 or something like that. Okay. Now what you do is you find out the product between fi and ui. Now you perform this multiplication. So 1 into minus 4 will give you minus 4. 1 into minus 3 will give you minus 3. 3 into minus 2 will give you minus 6. 4 into minus 1 minus 4. This will be 0. This will be 4. this will be 10, this will be 9, and this will be 16. So you get to see that all these numbers, right, the product has become even more simpler to handle. So what you do is you quickly do the summation here. You see -4 here and you see 4 here, so you cancel them off. You don't have to cancel this on the notebook. This I'm just showing you so that it becomes easier for you to calculate like that. Okay, you see 10 here and you see -10 here, so you cancel these numbers. Okay, remaining is 9 minus 3, which is 6, plus 16, which is 22. Okay, now once you have got 22, what you do is you divide it by the number 30. So 22 by 30 is the new ratio you would be interested in. Now with this mean, what you have to do is you have to multiply the h which you had used to divide all these di, right? You had divided by 10, right? You had divided all these di's by 10. So what you have to do is once you have got this value, you have to multiply by 10 because you had divided it then, right? So this will become 22 by 3. Okay, now 22 by 3, you will have to add it to the assumed mean. What was the assumed mean? The assumed mean was 55. Okay, assumed mean was 55. So you finally add 55 to this because you had subtracted 55, so you have to add 55 back. Okay, so now you will see that this 55 and 22 by 3 is 7.33, will give you the same answer 62.33, which you had got in the assumed mean method. And what is the name of this method? The name of this method is step deviation method. So step deviation method is also a simplified form of the direct method. Okay, so it kind of extends the assumed mean method a little bit further by assuming a variable h, which is the common factor among the di, among the various di's that you could see. You could see that 10 is a common factor. So what you do is you divide by 10 so as to simplify it even further. Okay, so that you have to deal with very small numbers rather than big numbers. Okay, so we will see a lot of examples and questions from the NCERT CBSE exercise and find out how to use which method, when to use which method. Okay, a quick recap. This is the third method that we discussed. X bar is equal to a plus sigma fi ui by sigma fi multiplied by h, where ui is nothing but di by h, or you can write xi minus a by h. And how do you determine h? By looking at the values of di and finding out the common factor that we can utilize to divide all the di's. Okay, let's start with the exercise 14.1. A survey was conducted by a group of students as a part of their environment awareness program, in which they collected the following data regarding the number of plants in 20 houses in a locality. Find the mean number of plants per house. So the question is to find out the mean. Okay, and this is the data set that has been given. So as you can see, number of plants have already been put into different groups. Okay, the groups read like 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, like that. So you know that the class interval is already given. You don't have to find out the class interval, and you have been given the frequencies also, right? Number of houses is the frequency. Okay, if we want to put it in a tabulate format, okay, we'll put the class interval here, and 0 to 2, 2 to 4, all these will come over here. and the frequencies will be written like this: 1 2 1 5 6 2 3. Now let's find out the mean. The first method was the direct method, so let us see if we can find out using direct method easily. Okay, the class interval is given, so class marks you can find out by finding out the midpoint of the class interval. What is the midpoint? 0 and 2, the midpoint is 1 clearly, right? So you can write 1 here. Okay, or you can find out the average. 0 plus 2 divided by 2, which is 1. Okay, 2 plus 4 6 divided by 2, which is 3. But here you clearly see that between 2 and 4 the middle point is 3, so middle point is the class marks. Okay, and you can see the numbers are following a kind of pattern here. You don't have to do much exercise here. Now you see the numbers are kind of small. You can still calculate using the direct method itself. If you use direct method, what you have to do is you have to multiply them. Okay, you have to multiply them. So we'll use the direct method here. Fi and xi, we'll find out the products. 1 into 1 is 1, 2 into 3 is 6, 5 into 1 is 5, 7 5 35, 9 6 54, 22, 13 3 39. Okay, and how will you calculate the sum? 9 plus 2 11, 4 15, 5 25, 31 32, 2 3 3 6, 2 8, 5 13, and 3 16. So you get 162. Okay, sigma fi xi is 162. How about sigma fi? Sigma fi is total number of observations. You could see the total number of observations as 20, right? 20 houses are there, so sigma fi is 20. So you divide by this. Okay, what you get is 16.2 by 2, 8.1. 8.1 is the mean of this particular question. There are 8.1 number of plants per house. So using the direct method also, it is far easier to calculate because the numbers are not that very big to calculate. If the xi's and fi's, class marks and the frequency, are small numbers, they are easy to multiply also. You can utilize the assumed mean method also. You can utilize the assumed mean method also. But since the numbers are not that very big, you can quite rightly use the direct method to find out the answer. Okay. Let us look at the second problem. Consider the following distribution of daily wages of 50 workers of a factory. Find the mean daily wages of the workers of the factory by using an appropriate method. So we have to find out the mean given this data. The grouping is already done. The daily wages grouping is already done in terms of 100 to 120, 120 to 140, and periods like that. And number of workers, which is the frequency, is already given: 12, 14, 8, 6, and 10. Total number of workers is 50. Okay, let's form the table. We have written the groupings of the daily wages here in the class interval column. Okay, and the numbers related to the problem are these: 12, 14, 8, 6, and 10, as you can see here in this row. Okay, now you see that class marks is something which is the middle point of the class interval. What is the middle point of 100 to 120? 110. What are the middle points of the other groups? 120, 140. What is in between? 130. So this will be 130, 150, 170, and 190. You see the numbers are bit bigger than the last problem that we had seen. The class marks were smaller there. Here the numbers are bit bigger. So what we are doing here is we are trying to determine whether we want direct method or not. In this problem we see that since the numbers are bigger, we won't use the direct method. We'll try to use the assumed mean method or the step deviation method. So let us first calculate the DI. For that we need to assume a mean there. Let us assume the mean to be 150. Okay, assumed mean is 150. So we'll see what are the deviations of this assumed mean from all the class marks. So we'll start from the middle. Deviation is 0. 150 minus 150 is 0. 130 minus 150 is minus 20. 150 minus 150 is minus 40. 20 and 40. So these are the deviations. So what you can observe here is 40, 20, 20, 40, whether positive or negative, they are all kind of multiples of 20. So assumed mean can be applied, but we can further simplify it by dividing it by a common factor. And what is the common factor that we can take? The common factor that we can take is 20. Okay, because we see 20 as the common factor that we can get all these numbers to divide by. Okay, so let us find out ui. Ui will be di by h, so we'll divide by 20. When divided by 20, this number will give you minus 2. Minus 40 by 20 will give you minus 2. This will be minus 1, this will be 0, this will be 1, this will be 2. So you see the numbers have come down from 110 to minus 40 to minus 2. Okay, so we will use step deviation method for lesser calculation. Okay, now what you have to do is you will have to do a product of fi and ui. Now that you have decided to use ui here. Okay, so we'll do fi multiplied by ui. Okay, let us see the first product. 12 multiplied by minus 2. 12 multiplied by minus 2. Let me write that for you. This will be minus 24. 14 multiplied by minus 1, minus 14. 8 multiplied by 0 will be 0. Okay, similarly 6 multiplied by 1 will be 6, and 10 multiplied by 2 will be 20. So adding this will be easier. Okay, here we get 26. 20 plus 6 is 26. 26 minus 24 is 2. Okay, and 2 minus 14 is minus 12. So you get minus 12 as the summation here. Okay, now you know that when you use step deviation method, the formula that you are going to use is a plus sigma fi ui by sigma fi, and this part will be multiplied by h because you divide by h here. Okay, so first we see that sigma fi ui is minus 12. What is sigma fi ui by sigma fi? Okay, this will be minus 12 divided by sigma fi. Sigma fi is nothing but number of workers here, which is 50. It is given 50 here, so we'll divide by 50. Okay, so this will give you, okay, if you multiply by 2 numerator and denominator, this will give you minus 24 by 100. Why did we multiply by 2? To make the denominator 100 for simplicity. The calculations will be simplified. Okay, so this part will give you 0.24, and that too in negative 0.24. Okay, now you have got this part. You have to multiply by h. Okay, you have to put in the formula here. Okay, so 0.24 negative multiplied by h is 20. This will give 4.8, that too in negative, minus 4.8. so now minus 4.8 you have got after calculating this part. Okay, now you have to add a also. Okay, what is A here? A is assumed to be 150, so you add 150. Okay, 150 and minus 4.8. So what you get is 0.2. This will become 9, 9 4 is 5. Okay, 15 will become 14, right? 14, 5.2. So 145.2 is the mean that we are looking for. That is what using the step deviation method. Thank you guys for watching this video. We have covered two questions from the exercise 14.1, and we'll continue in the next session. So please do subscribe our channel, share the videos with other students as well, and stay tuned. Thank you.